Hey everyone, I'm RetroRampage and welcome to my channel. I'm here to present another build video for you all today, and this one is very special because it's centered around the exotic helmet Nezarec Sin. I had this build in the back of my head for a week or so, but recently as I was testing it in the tribute hall, I discovered something amazing about this exotic and I'm super excited to share it with you because I believe this exotic is severely underused and it needs more love. But before we get to that, let's discuss everything you'll need for this build. First off, we're going to be using the subclass Attunement of Hunger. I'm sure most of you already know what this build is about, but a quick summary for those of you who don't. Basically, this subclass is focused on the Devour buff, which you get from melee kills or consuming your grenade. When Devour is active, any kills heal you and recharge the timer, as well as giving you some grenade energy back. We'll be pairing this up with the Breach Refractor mod. With this, you can get your grenade back in around 3 or 4 melee kills while Devour is active. Now where we really get to some insane synergy is when we pair all of this with the Nezarec Sin, and avoid hand cannon, submachine gun, or auto rifle with anti-barrier rounds. Because not only are you getting your grenade back in just a few kills, you're also proccing Nezarec Sin's exotic perk with each kill. The exotic perk is Abyssal Extractors, which, while active, increases your ability recharge rate. Now here's where things get really interesting. This exotic perk almost entirely ignores your stats. Let me show you what I mean. So, let's look at my intellect here. It's in the 5th tier, and my cooldown is around 4 minutes 30 seconds. But if I keep Abyssal Extractors active, look at how big the difference is. We get our super in only 1 minute and 36 seconds. That is a huge recharge rate buff. You'd think that speccing more into your abilities would be best, and while, yes, that would reduce the cooldown further, it's kind of overkill. Take a look at this. I pulled out a set of white armor from my collections to get my stats as low as possible, making my intellect at tier 0. And you can see my super recharge time is 7 minutes and 12 seconds. That is insanely slow. But watch what happens when Abyssal Extractors is active. Yeah, it's almost just as fast as before with my intellect at tier 5 at 1 minute and 50 seconds. That's still incredibly fast. This is the same for all of your abilities, so if you want to min-max your build and make your Guardian as strong as possible, you don't even need to spec into intellect, discipline, or strength at all. Nezarec Sin does all of the heavy lifting here and allows you to completely focus on mobility, recovery, resilience, or any other mods you want applied. Since we're constantly getting healed by Devour, it's safe to pick the Empowering Rift for an extra 30% damage to all of your weapons. And as for our grenades, why don't we throw on Overload grenades and Oppressive Darkness, weakening any enemy you hit it with. With one grenade, you're debuffing them around 30% and making their attacks take longer to charge. And yes, the 30% buff does stack with your Empowering Rift, as shown here. Here's a Honed Edge times 4 shot by itself. Here's that shot plus Oppressive Darkness, and here it is with Oppressive Darkness and Empowering Rift. This is a huge bonus to damage that can be done completely by yourself without the need of relying on your teammates. And if you're in a team, no one has to carry Tractor Cannon, because you have the same percentage debuff right there in your hands. Now for the weapons you can use with this loadout. Starting with your primary, my top 3 picks would be the Recluse, Kindled Orchid, or Gnawing Hunger. These 3 legendary weapons all do void damage, and can all have anti-barrier mods slotted in, to proc Abyssal Extractors and Breach Refractor at the same time. For special and heavy, it depends on your personal preference, but by far the most powerful loadout for DPS would be Izanagi's Burden, Recluse, and the Wendigo GL3. Slap on a sniper rifle loader perk on your gauntlets and you've got the best DPS numbers in the entire game. This is by far the most effective build in the game, and allows you to do almost everything you'd need by yourself. And this is by far the best pick for solo players. You like going lone wolf, or want to challenge yourself by soloing an activity that normally needs teammates? This is the build for you. You have the max buff and debuff you can have without wasting your exotic slot on Tractor Cannon or the Divinity, or relying on other players. You can also stay alive longer than any other player with constant healing grenades, and you can have higher stats than virtually any other player who isn't using this build. Whenever you get new armor, look out for rolls that specifically roll with high mobility, resilience, or recovery. You'll be able to stray fast, take more damage, and heal faster all at the same time. Even in something like the Raid it can be good because it effectively replaces Tractor Cannon. The Oppressive Darkness buff gives the same debuff as Tractor Cannon and lasts just as long, and it can be thrown from a distance, making it the safest debuff option outside of the Divinity. Speaking of the Divinity, thanks to my friend Owl on Fire, I was able to test it here, and as you can see, it does indeed stack with everything here. With both buffs and debuff combined, it does just under double damage. I can see this build being very strong in certain raid encounters where the boss is stationary and you're standing in the same spot for DPS. Thanks a ton for watching. If you have any build ideas, please let me know in the comments below. If I like it and decide to cover it, I'll give you a shout out in the video. And if you're also a YouTuber, I'll link to your YouTube channel in the description. And hey, if you want to support a new Destiny content creator, please consider subscribing and sharing this video with other Destiny players you think could get use from it. Starting up a new channel is pretty difficult, and you can only really get big if you get lucky, so any help would be greatly appreciated.